Neen here from the Hyperactive Bookworm, here to do a chat with my good friend and brilliant author, A.L. Brooks. Hello.
Hey everybody. Hello, Neen.
Can you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and what you write?
Okay. So right as A.L. Brooks, but you can call me Angela. My pronouns are she, her. I write contemporary romance and erotica in the Sapphic world, with a little sprinkle of spec fic with my book, Never Too Late for Heroes. But generally, yeah, I know it's a favorite of yours, but generally it's romance and sexy stuff.
It might be like right
I
up
can
the top
see,
there.
I think up there,
Yeah.
Cool. It's always such, I don't know about you, but it's such a thrill seeing your books on people's shelves. It's just, I mean, I've been published for 7 years now, and it still never gets old seeing that.
That's cool.
So,
okay. So we're actually here to chat all things NaNoWriMo, because
indeed.
this year we I think you reached out to me or I reached out to you, or it was a mutual thing, and we decided to buddy up and kind of kick each other's butt into gear and make sure that we were on track and just having that accountability. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I was just wanting to know, like, how you got onto NaNoWriMo and how many years you've been doing it.
Okay, so actually doing it 2 months ago now. That was only the second time I've done it. The first time I did it was in 2017. And the book I wrote turned out to be, I think that was Up on the Roof. I did. Yeah. I heard about it from G. Benson. She was doing Nano religiously every year, I think, for quite a few years. And I had been to an event in 2017, and she was there, and it came up in conversation. And I was like, what is this? I'd never even heard of it, you know. I mean, to be fair, let's be fair, I'd only had 2 books out at that point. I was only relatively new to the whole writing thing. I don't think I'd even got my Twitter account until earlier that year. So I was still a little bit behind the curve on a lot of things. Yeah, and she was raving about how if you need to really focus on a project, it's a really good way to do that. It doesn't work for everybody, but if that's what you need, some kind of mechanism by which to make you focus, she could highly recommend it. So I thought, I'll give it a go and see how I go. And, you know, it worked really well for me and I really enjoyed it. But then life kind of happened each year afterwards, and it never looked like I was going to get back to do it for whatever reason. And then last year I was thinking, I've had a real rough time of writing the last 18 months. My mojo took a hike and couldn't be found with map or compass. So it occurred to me partway through the year, I had an idea for my next romance, and I dabbled at the first kind of 4 chapters, but never really got started. I'd write half a chapter one week, and then 3 weeks later, I'd write the other half after completely re-editing the first half because I didn't like what I'd written, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, totally understood.
And I started thinking, Nano's coming up. Maybe this would, and I knew in our life there would be time for it this time for once. There would actually be capacity.
That's definitely
especially because I went part-time in my day job last year. So I knew I had more time to focus on it. So that's how I came to do it. And I thought I'd take this project and run with it. And then I think I saw you posting on social media in your Facebook group that you were going to do Nano. And I messaged you and said, hey, how about if we be buddies? Because I thought it would help me if I had someone kicking my butt. I didn't know about you, but I just thought that would work for me. So that's how it came about.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad you have a memory. I got nothing. So I've just realized, for all those, you know, playing at home, if you haven't heard of NaNoWriMo, it's National Novel Writing Month. You can Google it. It is NaNoWriMo.org, I believe the official page is. And you can sign up. It's free to sign up. And you can find other authors. You can buddy up. They do other events throughout the year now,
don't they?
Yeah. But originally it only began as National Novel Writing Month. It's set in November, and from the 1st of November to the 30th, you write 50,000 words, which when it first started, that sort of was a standard novel. Novel lengths change depending on pretty much everything. but it's still a really good gauge to get you back into it. I've been doing it for, I'm a little nervous to admit how many years I've been doing it because all those files are somewhere, like somewhere. So I've been doing it a solid 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
And the only things that have come out of it, other than just my excitement that I did it, was The Void, which came out last year.
Okay.
Yeah, and I originally wrote that on NaNoWriMo, which is very cool. There will be another book coming out that I wrote through NaNoWriMo that's coming out later this year. But yeah, it took me a really long time to actually kind of go, oh, this isn't just playing. I can actually use this as, you know, a real writer. But yes, so that's the aim.
Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of Nano. For a lot of people, it isn't necessarily whether you want to be a writer, publish it or whatever. It's the fact that you've got an idea and you kind of feel like, well, maybe it'd be fun to write it down and see what happens. And Nano's a really good structure for you to do that, because it will, if you want, it will get you into a really good kind of writing frame of mind if you have to focus on a project every day, or you're expected to. There's no have to. It's all about, you know, this is the target, you work with it how you like. You can use Nano.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no hard and fast rules. I mean, okay, yeah, there's this target of 50,000, but if you don't reach 50,000, so what? If you manage to write 500 words a day for 30 days solid, that's amazing. There's so many people that wouldn't be able to do that. So, you know, that's what I love about it. It gives you a structure that you can work with for whatever it is that you need it to be.
Exactly.
You can adapt it and be flexible. I mean, I know from people I was interacting with through Nano, not just you, there was people like me who had started a book and wanted a push to get it, a big chunk of it written. There was people who had an idea for ages and thought, yeah, Nano's a good time to start it. There were people who were using it to do translations of their novels. Chris Zett was using it to do a German translation of her latest English language romance.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Translating it back into German. And that was what she was, you know, so she had a target of doing 50,000 words of translation during the month.
That is cool.
So I know. People use it to write fanfic. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
I know several people who are short story writers who use it to do, you know, like 10,000 5 or 6 stories in that time. Over that time. Cool. And that's the beauty of it. It's that flexibility. And it took me a while to realize this, but for me, the primary goal of NaNoWriMo, yep, the words are there and stuff, but it's more about getting me into that daily habit of sitting in front of the computer, setting myself some kind of target. It could be 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. It could be 10 words, minimum of 10 words. It could be anything. And it was just having that frame of mind. I don't know. I found it easier to hit all the other goals because I had the goal, but I wasn't putting that pressure on myself that just kind of froze me. You know, me too. Like it has to have that balance.
It was about getting that kind of that writing discipline back that I'd lost in the last 18 months, where I'd really struggled to actually sit down at my Mac. But it was also, and what I hoped would happen, I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I was really hoping that it would happen, that if I got into that daily writing frame of mind, that I'd actually fall back in love with writing, with crafting a story, with creating characters and putting them through shit and all the rest of it to get to their happy end, you know, that I would love that process again, because that's what I'd lost for various reasons in the last 18 months, 2 years. And I got that, and I was so in the zone. I mean, I was even taking my every night I was making a Word doc of what I'd written during the day on my non-working days. I would, at the end of it, I'd make a Word doc, email it to myself at my work email address, and then in my lunch breaks, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I can't write Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. I am so brain dead after my day job. I work with computer systems all day, and it's just demanding, and it takes a lot of my brain power. So I made a pledge to myself that, well, if I had a Word doc of my latest chapter, maybe I'd find time in my lunch break when I'm still not quite so brain dead to do some writing. And I would say to myself, no pressure. If it's only 500-600 words, it still counts towards that target. It still means I'm writing every day, which was the main thing.
Yeah.
And I remember us messaging through the whole process, supporting each other and kicking each other and all the rest of it. And you remember how many times I said to you, I've just managed to write in my lunch break and I've done 1,000 words, you know.
I know. I was like, what the hell? That's awesome.
I know, because I just got, once that momentum started in that first week, it just kept going, and I was suddenly in the zone, and I was bouncing. My wife was just laughing because I was bouncing around the house because I was so happy that I was doing it again. And by the third week, I was just completely in love with my characters and the book, and actually the process of sitting down at my desk and writing for a couple of hours was just so joyful. It was just
that is
fantastic.
the coolest thing. That is absolutely the coolest thing. Like,
and it's what I wanted from Nano, and it's what it completely delivered to me. The fact that I hit the 50,000 words was kind of like just a nice little bonus. It was more about the process.
Yes,
you know,
that's how I felt too. I was like, oh yeah, I hit that. But like, I've gotten so far into this and I've discovered all these things, and the community within it is just amazing.
That was really nice, wasn't it? Because all over social media, people were talking about doing Nano, where they were up to, asking how everybody else was doing. It was really nice to have that kind of connection.
It was getting those connections again. And when you were saying before about like struggling over the last 18 months, I have heard that from a lot of authors recently. And part of me, like, because I've been struggling as well, and part of me is just like, a lot of our wells are just empty. And
the pandemic really drained a lot of us.
It did.
A lot of us suffered all different things through that, and it's just trying to get your creativity back after that. That was definitely one thing that impacted me. Definitely.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And like, connecting on things like NaNoWriMo are just absolutely priceless. Like, on the Nano book, do we get to know what it is? How far are you in on it? Do we get any sneaky deets?
Last night I finished the first draft.
Yes! Oh my God, congratulations! That is the coolest feeling.
I got behind my kind of self-imposed schedule. After Nano finished, I was like, all guns blazing, I'm going to get this finished by Christmas.
And
then I got COVID and was sick for 2 weeks. So I didn't write a single word. And then it was Christmas. So So I finally got it done the last couple of weeks, and I wrote the last chapter last night. It needs obviously to be edited. But my newsletter subscribers will know this, but it's a book set in the world of an amateur jazz swing band, with a whole load of drama around that, not around the band. That's just, the band is there for the kind of humor element, because main character Lisa turns up to practice or audition for a jazz band. She plays the trumpet, and much to her and the band's surprise, she is at least 30 years younger than everybody else, and she's the only woman. They're all men.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
So obviously there's a lot of, you know, fun to be had with that mix of characters. The community center where they practice is managed by a woman called Rachel, who seems to be very quiet and shy and unassuming. And she and Lisa kind of have a little, you know, eye thing going on, and a little sort of, you know, flirty thing, and so Lisa asks her out, and then discovers that Rachel's seems to have a few secrets, and is reluctant to give them up. And so
nice,
there's some drama around that, and when things get unraveled, it's a real test of their burgeoning relationship and all of that.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to read it. Oh, this is super exciting. Do you have like a schedule that you're...
No, not at all.
That's all right. I'm all just checking.
No, I'm just going with the flow. It'll be ready when it's ready, and then we'll see what happens. So
that's nice. It's better than the pressure.
What about you? You said, I think you told me you were writing the sequel to something, or or something
about
else?
that, Michelle, I love you and I'm sorry. So yes, I was writing the sequel to The Void. And I actually had 85,000 written. And then I scrapped it.
No.
Well, the problem was, I realized I wrote the entire thing in the wrong point of view.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So you have lived many places.
Uh-huh.
Where is your favorite place to live and why?
Oh, blimey. Well, it's not like okay, I have favorites at different points in my life. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, do it that way.
Yeah.
In my 20s, when I first moved to London, oh my God, that was just so exciting and scary and amazing all at the same time. I mean, I came from a small town 60 kilometers north of London, hardly ever visited London unless on school trips and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, when I moved there in my 20s, and I moved there mainly because I had come out and I knew that there was no scene at all in my little town. And in terms of that and my career, it made much more sense to be in London. Yeah. So of course I came out, I moved to London, I hit the gay scene like a proper good queer. And yeah, and it was fantastic. Like that whole experience through my 20s and into my 30s was amazing. Then I had a bit of a life crisis when I turned 30 and I ended up in Australia for a year through a very roundabout way. And I lived in Melbourne for a year
Nice.
and I loved it. It was just what I needed at that point in time. It was significantly more laid back than London, but it had everything that London had to offer and it had beaches. So, I mean, it was just like best combination. So yeah, I had an absolute blast living in Melbourne. I made a few friends, most of whom I've lost touch with, except for one who lives in Ballarat and who I am still in contact with 30 years later. And in fact, I'm speaking to her tomorrow.
Nice.
And yeah, I've visited again a few times since then. I've been back a number of times to visit. And yeah, so I liked Melbourne. And then where I am now in my late 40s into my 50s now, I've been here 5 years. I love Frankfurt where I live now. I mean, obviously I love it because it's where my wife is.
That's a bonus.
Even when we were doing the long distance relationship for 2 years from 17 through 18, I mean, every time I came to visit, I just really liked the feel of it and just so it kind of was a bit of a no-brainer when we sort of needed to make a decision about the future. To me, it was a no-brainer that I would move here rather than she moved to London. And I have never regretted it. And I barely give London a second's thought, actually, at all. Because I know now I'm right where I should be. I don't know if this will be our forever home. I kind of feel like it might be, but honestly, I'm not worried about that. I mean, I love where I am now. And if it turns out that we move somewhere else in 10, 15, 20 years time, then that's what we do, and I'm sure I'll love that because that'll be where we're supposed to be at the right time.
Oh, you're like your own happily ever after, all rolled
We
up.
are. We are.
Oh, I love it. I love
I know.
that.
So do
Gives
I.
me all the warm fuzzies.
Excellent.
And yes, you need to come visit Australia again.
I will. We have
us
plans to do that in a couple of years' time. So yeah.
Excellent.
And you will be on my circuit of who I need to catch up with.
Thank goodness. I expect nothing less.
That was another reason why Nano was so good for me in November, because it allowed me to get some structure back into the writing. It allowed me to realize that as long as I focus on it, I can make time for the actual writing of the words, and I don't get sucked into the social media and all the admin and promo and stuff that I need to do, that I can make time to write 1,667 words per day.
It gets drilled in, doesn't it? You don't forget that number.
Exactly. You never forget. Yeah. Or, only 500 this day and 2,000 the next day, or whatever it turns out to be. But it gave me, as I say, that kind of structure that allowed me to make room for writing again in my life, that actual writing of words.
I feel like, words. Yeah, Nano gives me permission to prioritize it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it gives me permission to go, no, I am not looking at the socials. I'm not worrying about putting out a promo. I'm not worrying about that. I am writing. Because
do you know what else I've taken away from it? And actually this came from my wife made this suggestion and I just looked at her and went, that is genius. She said, next time you're going to sit down and write a full romance, because I've got some ideas for novellas and short stories as well, but she said, next time you want to sit down and write a full romance, why don't you make yourself do a nano? Like say that April is when you're going to do your own nano, and you're going to challenge yourself to hit a certain amount of words. But more importantly, you're going to write every day. She said, look at our plans for the year, where we're going taking trips or not. She said, and when there's an empty month or an empty 4 weeks, doesn't even have to be a calendar month, it can be 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Set yourself the target of writing every day during that month and getting on with your next project. And I was like, that's a really good idea.
I
don't
love
necessarily
that.
an app or a website to go and log my progress. I can do it on a spreadsheet. I can do it on a scrap of paper. But it's about the fact that I would then sit down and write every day.
Yeah. And you give yourself permission to prioritize it.
And she's been amazing, because she knew how important it was for me to try and get this mojo back. So she'd be sitting there every morning, right, when's your writing time today? And I'd be like, well, I thought I'd do it this afternoon. Oh, okay, so we can do this morning. And I go, yeah, okay. And then we do that. And then she'd be right, off you go write, go do your thing, do the words.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And if she's away or whatever, she's messaging me going, have you done the words yet today? But not in like a real pushy way, but just in a kind of, to remind me that it's okay for me to make time to do it. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. I love hearing that, because it can be so hard if you don't feel like you have that support. And it is vital. I don't think a lot of people realize how much just their encouragement can
absolutely
just mean so much to us, who are sitting there going, is it okay if I do this? Oh man, you're also a big reader.
So when I'm really deep in writing a novel, I'll be reading non-fiction or spec fic, fantasy, something that's very different from what I'm writing, if you
from
see
your
what I mean.
genre. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm out there buying books left, right, and bloody center, like the I Heart Sapphic sale that was on in December. There's sudden stuffed my Kindle with like another 10 books, thinking, when I've written this novel, I'm so going to be reading all of these books. And it's like, I get so excited when I've got a whole list of, I think my TBR is currently about 67 ebooks and half a dozen paperbacks. And it's a bit daunting. I know everybody has enormous ones. Mine's not that big, really. That's just the ones I've actually purchased. Never mind my wish list on Amazon, which is like, enormous.
Totally different. The ones you've actually got there waiting for you.
As soon as I finish writing my book and my brain is free of my characters for a little while, because I'll take a break now for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back and rework it into draft 2. But I take a break from the characters so that I can then come back to it with a bit more of a fresh head. And I'm thinking more clearly about the story.
And you see what's there, not what was already in your head when you were writing.
And in that 2 weeks, my Kindle's going to be in front of my face for hours every day, because I need to catch up with everything I've missed. I mean,
oh, I love it. So have you read anything recently that you would be like, loved it, recommend?
I really loved Erin Zach's Christmas one, Home for the Holidays.
Oh, okay.
That was really...
Oh my God, that's one sitting in my ebook that I've bought, that is sitting there waiting for me to read. I had this idea that I would read like 20 books in December. That didn't happen.
No. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Oh gosh, what else did I read? This is the thing, I read so many. Yeah, unless I actually write down the ones that I absolutely loved, then I don't remember what I've read. It's just ridiculous. Hunter's latest one.
Curry Hunter, yes.
Oh, so good.
Oh my God. That was just like, I was just like, give me more.
I think I inhaled that in like a day and a half, and that included like having to do my day job, because it was just like, my wife read it first and she was halfway through, she said, when are you starting this book? We need to talk about it.
Yes. Oh my God, it was
I'll start.
And I've been focusing a lot more on audiobooks, because with health and stuff, I haven't been able to focus very much on reading, like eyeball reading. So I was so excited. Because I was hanging out to read Curry Hunter's books, because I absolutely love them. They're delicious.
Fantastic. Yeah.
She's incredible. I'm just like, damn it. But I was so excited that the audio came out so close after the book's release, because it was driving me nuts. And and then I devoured it in one day, and I was like, okay, when's the next one? Crap.
I haven't listened to the audio yet. I might do that next, actually. Talking of audio, tell you what I listened to last week that I absolutely adored. I'd read the book already, so I kind of knew the story, but it had been a while, so I kind of forgotten some of the nuances of it. Quinn Ivan's book, Something's Different. The one about the twin.
That. It's on the list. That's the twin one, isn't it?
And the narrator, Anastasia Watley, is one of my absolute favorites. She's
I
got
love her.
this
That's something I've listened to her
voice.
recently.
She did one of mine and it blew me away. She did A Heart to Trust of mine.
There you
That's
go.
the first time I'd actually, I think I'd listened to her on someone else's book and thought, oh, she's got a nice voice. And then I found out she was doing A Heart to Trust and I was like, oh my God, yes. And then I listened to it and I was like, this book sounds amazing. Like, no, it's like, again, one of those surreal moments that we were talking about earlier. Hearing your own book as an audio book is just, because
I can imagine.
They get, I mean, all of the ones that have been done, I've had multiple narrators of mine, and all of them, like, they just get all of the, what I was trying to say. They get all of the inflections, or 98% of them. And it just, to bring your book to life like that is just extraordinary. It's just amazing. Absolutely.
All right. So I have a question.
Yeah, Something's Different by Quinn Ivins, narrated by Anastasia Watley. I can highly recommend that.
Excellent. I'll be adding that one, the narration to that one. Okay. So yes, like you said, you have had a few different narrators. Who is a narrator you haven't had read a book that you would just
There's two.
Yeah.
Prince and Angela Dorr.
Yes.
I love both their voices.
Same here.
If either of them could do one of my books, I would be so happy.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Angela Dorr is like one click. Like if I see her name, I'm getting that one. Even if I've never read the author, don't care. I know she will.
I finished listening yesterday to Laurie Prince one that was, she's done most of Robin Alexander's books, and all of them are just hilarious. I love them. So I listened to Fearless, and that was narrated by Laurie Prince.
Read that
one.
My
God, that was just so brilliant. So brilliant. Yes. And it's a lovely little story. Really nice. But Laurie Prince, the way she,
I know, her voice is amazing.
The humor in those books is just, I mean, I'm walking to work, I've got my AirPods in.
Yeah.
God knows what the rest of Frankfurt thought as they're seeing me go by, because I'm snort laughing out loud, at various points.
I've only
Laurie
read
Prince's acting and her timing is just spot on, absolutely spot on.
I know, there are, like, when you find a good narrator, you're just like, they are the most amazing, like, actors, because how can they create
absolutely
such like they can just it blows me away. And Laurie Prince and Angela
I've pretty
Dorr,
much loved I've pretty much loved every narrator I've come across in Sapphic romance, but I have to say, for me, in terms of that true acting and getting it, I think Laurie and Angela are at the top for me. That's just
I totally get it.
Yeah,
spot on. That's awesome. I love that. Sapphic fiction, what is your favorite trope?
Eek.
To read and to write. So they can be different, but
interesting. I think to read, one of my favorites, I can't pick one, come on, it's not fair.
I'm evil.
I do love a fake relationship.
Cool.
I do think I love it. I love that whole, and that's what I had so much fun with Make Her Wish Come True. That whole kind of, it's fake, but then suddenly feelings come in and then it's not so fake. Yeah, I love that. And I do love a kind of enemies to lovers. I don't want them to be bitchy to each other, but I do want there to be some reason why they don't get on to begin with, and then feelings happen.
I feel
I enjoy writing both of those. I've done both and I enjoy writing them, so
that's awesome. I love that competitors to lovers, sort of like rivals, they're not like enemies, but they're just
exactly. A Heart to Trust is like rivals to lovers. They're both rivals for the same job. They don't hit it off straight away. There's a little bit of tension between them. That's because they're both not happy with the situation they've been put in. That they have to compete for this job.
That's what what I like. I like that, rivals to lovers more than enemies, because
and I am a bit of a sucker for a celebrity romance, because it's always so glamorous and there's always like places and nice clothes and
fractured fairy tales, love or hate.
I love them because I loved Thorn by Anna Burke,
right?
And I love Nottingham, and so generally my exposure to them is fairly limited. I think it is only Anna Burke, and I think Cara Malone wrote one that was based on Little Red Riding Hood, and I enjoyed that. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, when I've come across them, I've really enjoyed them. So yeah.
cool. Would you ever
Yeah.
write one?
I actually do have one in mind. Yes.
Ooh, on
Yeah.
the record
I'll
or off
say
the
no more,
record?
but I have one in mind, and I think it would be fun.
On the record,
Let's
off
see.
the record. Oh, come on.
On the record, yes, I have one in mind.
What is something you haven't seen, or at least need to see more of in Sapphic fiction? Can be a trope, can be a character, can be a story arc. What
I
do you
think
feel is missing?
yeah, one thing that that I don't think has been done very often, and I think quite a few people have been talking about this on social media recently. That whole Ice Queen age gap thing, where there's the younger, fluffy person melts the older Ice Queen. I want to see that in reverse. I want to see the Ice Queen being the younger character, and someone older who's warm and soft and cuddly is the person that melts the young Ice Queen.
Yes, I
I'd
have
love to
seen
see
that
that turned
too.
around. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've seen that being talked about. That I think it's, you know, I don't know of a single book that does that. I mean, I haven't particularly looked, but I don't
Yeah,
think I've seen
nothing
nothing
automatically
springs into
comes
my
to
head
mind.
where, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that would be fun to read.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Ange.
Thank you, Neen. It was been amazing. So lovely to talk to you.
Oh, it has been. It's been fantastic. And I cannot wait for NaNoWriMo this year.
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Bye.
Bye.